Dave.
Hi, how you doing, Rad Radio?
Hey,
Hello, Dave.
Hello.
Hey, you were talking earlier about the guy in Texas that got fired for supposedly you guys were using the N-word or used the N-word. And I think what that woman, the woman that filed the complaint, was referring to was the joke about that you guys, the joke was, how many cops does it take to screw in a light bulb? You remember that joke?
Yeah. The answer was none. They just start beating the room because it's black or something like that.
For being black, and I think he probably laughed at the joke, and that was this woman's complaint, and she's just using the excuse of using the N-word to make her point.
Well, look, who knows?
Yeah,
and this
exactly.
this is the frustrating part, and I understand how frustrating it is for so many of you. Obviously, if you weren't here an hour ago, we've never said the N-word. We didn't.
Oh,
do that.
Jesus.
This is an African-American woman at this place where Matt works that he was training her. Went to the boss and said that he was listening to our show and she heard the N-word and she was offended. And they fired him, even though he said, well, I didn't hear it and they're on the radio and the owner of the show is married to an African-American woman. They didn't care. They just fired. And somebody else called in during a commercial break and didn't hang on and said, okay, so wait a minute. Because I kept saying it's so hard to prove something didn't happen, and they were expressing Brandon's level of frustration. They were like, "Well, wait a minute. Okay, fine. It's hard to prove a negative, but he's getting fired on hearsay." Yes, I know, and I understand how frustrating this is, but the answer is yes. And it all ties into the soapbox at radradio.com, which is meant to be a funny, satirical look at the world we live in, but this is the real life unfunny version of it. We view everything through identity politics and victimhood, and this company is saying we've got a white guy named Matt and we've got a black woman named whatever, and we're going to side with her because that's the safer thing to do. It sucks. I know it's frustrating. You can fight if you want to. You're gonna lose. You're gonna be exhausted, and so I do
or
get it.
Or if you win, it's just gonna take forever.
And now
then what?
Right, and now we're de-evolving to the point where we're guessing what she may have even heard, and now she's just lying about. Forget it.
Which is fine as long as you remember to say you're guessing. You can't just I know what it is. This is what it is.
Because,
no, but we don't.
No, we don't. And as I said an hour ago, we've discussed the N-word a lot over the last many months on this show, including yesterday with a NASCAR driver losing sponsors because his dad said the N-word once 35 years ago before the guy was even born. That's a real story. So it's out there. Who knows what
I have been watching this.
Did you not hear this?
Gosh, it's on Netflix. And it's about prisoners, but really more like death row. I'm a Killer, I think is the name of it.
It's a great series.
Oh, isn't it great?
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of, you know how we just assume we know? It's so fascinating to watch each case and every person that's a part of it, and just they all see it different. It's like,
oh my God! Now Brandon.
Especially when it's the actual person on death row. Those ones, they have the best stories to tell.
Oh my gosh!
And they have so much time to spend fabricating their story.
One of them reminded me of Rob, and Rob was saying with lawyers, it's really not about law; it's about the story.
Exactly.
And it's that one dude who,
oh my God,
he used to have part with that Coke guy Dallas. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, they all blend together.
Okay, yeah.
Go to Starbucks and
But
talk
it's like
about this.
the witness that was there at the pawn shop verified the prisoner's story, and the guy who prosecuted is like, nope, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not possible.
Mm-hmm.
He made his story, and that's what they went on. It's like, oh my God.
You're just
crazy.
Reinforcing. Stop talking, Rob. You're just reinforcing what we've talked about. Eyewitnesses and stories, they're the least credible, and that's why everybody sees everything differently. Oh, is that the signal that the host wants to move on and read an email?
I think there's a segue.
Damn it!
I didn't realize we were doing a special segment.
Got this email